Hello everyone, Pinder Productions here, and in this video I am going on a tour of Normandy in France on my bicycle. I'm planning to film some of this and put it together as part of a video. If you can tell, it's been a while since I've done a piece to camera. But yes, I haven't really got a plan for how I'm going to structure all of this yet. We're going to see what happens as we go, see what we see, and hopefully it'll be a good time and make for an interesting video for some of you. So let's go! I am currently on the ferry between Bugle in the UK and Cherbourg in France, somewhere in the middle of the English Channel. There's a ship in the distance there, you may be able to see, and in that direction, I'm not sure if it's coming out on camera, but that is land. France is on the horizon. We've still got probably an hour and a half, 2 hours to go in the crossing, but it's just about coming into view, which is quite exciting, that we are now close enough to see land again. It took a while to get out of Bugle. Bugle's got quite a large natural bay, but it means that you get quite an interesting departure in terms of you get a lot of view, get to see other boats going round, scenery, very expensive houses at Sandbanks, and the chain ferry at Studland as well. So it's quite a nice departure. Really not long to go now. We should be coming off the ship soon, and then we'll be exploring the town of Cherbourg. So we've arrived in Cherbourg, France. I am riding towards the town centre at the moment. The ferry port drops you in a relatively industrial area. As you can see on the left, they've got some boat manufacturers or something. On the right is the ferry terminal, which is where you would arrive from if you'd come from the UK or I think Ireland as well. You can get ferries to here. Either way, I'm going to head towards the town centre, maybe stop off at a few points of interest on the way. It is a little bit cloudy and a tiny bit humid, but it's dry at the moment, so that's good. And I'm excited to have a look around. Oh yes, I've got some navy looking ships over there. Those grey ones. There's quite a nice marina to the right there. Lots of little boats. I think I want to cross over this road to the left here at some point or another to try and get into the town itself again. I'm not sure where I do that though. I'm sure we'll find a place. I decided to come down to a little beach area, and as you can tell probably by the raindrops on the GoPro lens, it is a bit raining, kind of drizzle mostly, which does put a dampener on things. Before my camera rudely interrupted me, telling me it had low battery at 38%. Good morning everyone, and welcome to day 2. I apologise for the abrupt end yesterday. I believe that due to the age of my GoPro batteries there was an issue with the capacity or the power output or something like that. That's why it cut off at like 40% quite abruptly, or like stating 40% charge left. And it was raining. I do have 2 spare batteries, so I could have changed it, but it was raining and I don't want to get water into the body of the camera. That wouldn't be the best idea, I don't think. So I decided to cut it there, check into my hostel, and then it dried up after that. So I went out for a spot of dinner, had a burger, which was nice in town. I'm riding into the town centre now to see if I can get a pastry and maybe see if I can get another battery, because I did see a shop selling like tech basically yesterday when I went to a supermarket, so we will see if that is a possibility of getting one of the newer batteries, which are slightly better. The like white top enduro batteries, if anybody is into GoPros or is curious. So let's try and address both of those this morning. When I was walking through the town last night, I saw this, which is basically like a bit of boarding over an entrance to a building, I think, but it's been built with like a map of the town on it, which is quite cute. A nice way of, you know, making boarding, giving it a bit of interest, I suppose, kind of into some art. But yeah, just something interesting. You don't see that very often with like hoarding on a building and stuff like that. At least that's what it seems to be to me. Objective 1 for this morning secured. Pan au chocolat outside an empty fountain. It's a relatively nice square with a little slide. But yeah, the fountain is empty. Going to tuck into this though, because I am looking forward to munching on some pastries on this trip. So mission 2 was a failure. They didn't seem to have any batteries for my GoPro. They did have the newer GoPro, which I presume came with a battery in the box, but I don't need a new GoPro. I've got one that works other than the batteries. So it's probably the sort of thing that I should have sorted in advance. And if I do see another place where I can get a battery, then I may attempt to. But for now, I'm just going to have to change them more often than I would like, and probably keep this topped up with a power bank on the way. So I may go and stop off quickly again at the submarine, just to show that on camera, because I realised that I didn't do that yesterday, and then I will continue south into Normandy. So this is the submarine, La Redoutable, probably not pronouncing that correctly, but it is part of a museum. You can see this is the rear with the propeller, that would be the front up there, and yeah, it's part of a museum, so you can actually go on and enter it. I have done that in the past on a family holiday as a child. I'm not doing that on this trip because I arrived yesterday and the ferry that I came here on has left again about half an hour ago, and I've not made any progress since then. As you can see, there's the port where I arrived on. So if I had more time, or had I thought to do this yesterday, I may have done it, but I didn't. So not going to be going on and showing you around on this trip, but if you are ever in Cherbourg, I would recommend it. It's pretty cool to go have a look around a submarine, and if it's something that you're interested in, it's well worth a look. It's part of an aquarium which is in this building and this building here. This is the old maritime terminal and is a train shed, so I believe trains used to come in here, but they do not anymore. And yeah, it's part of an aquarium and museum, and I think there's stuff to do with the Titanic inside now, which probably wasn't there the last time that I was here and visited. So yeah, worth a visit if you are in the area, and pretty cool. Not every day that you see a submarine. So we're definitely now leaving Cherbourg. I am roughly following Eurovelo 4. This part isn't part of the Eurovelo route, but it's very nearby. The Eurovelo route here is like gravel, and I've asked my navigation for paved routes, just to keep my bike a bit cleaner where possible, really. So that's the aim of today. I am aiming for a place called Quattro. I'm really not sure how you'll pronounce it, but I suppose I can put some text on screen to show you how it's spelt at least. It's quite hilly getting out of Cherbourg. I didn't know about this before coming here. So yeah, but we are heading out of Cherbourg. I'm aiming for the east side of Carentan, which is this part of Normandy, and roughly going to follow the coast down. Probably shouldn't have been saying all of that next to somebody trimming a hedge, but if you didn't hear, I'm aiming for the east side of Carentan, and then hopefully follow the coast down to my overnight stop this evening, where I will be camping. This is my first time camping with a bicycle, so hopefully it goes well. This trip is a bit of a test the waters, see how it goes, see what I need to change for next time, and yeah, hopefully it is an enjoyable trip and turns out to be a somewhat interesting and enjoyable video. And there is the sign to say that we are leaving Cherbourg. From now, we are certainly making some progress. Well, I've joined the Eurovelo route and this section is certainly not paved, but it's not too bad. It's just because I've got a lot of weight on the back of my bike. I don't want it to puncture the tyre on a stone or something, so I think I'm just going to try and be careful. Probably jinxing myself now that I've admitted that on video. But yeah, it's not too dusty. I mean, I can just wash my bike when I get back, so it doesn't matter too much. So yeah, we are continuing on this trip. And it is nice to have a bit of shade. There was some on the road that I was on previously at times, but yeah, I do like having some shade. It is quite warm. It was at one point forecast to rain a lot of this week, so hopefully we don't get that. It looks like it should be dry now. I think the rain passed last night, yesterday evening for the most part, so hopefully it stays mostly dry. I had to buy a light rain jacket on the Saturday before coming out here. I travelled over on Monday yesterday, so the Saturday before I had to buy a raincoat that was lighter than my raincoat I already had, so that I could transport it on my bike more easily. So just went to the Decathlon in London on my way down to Poole. And we're back on tarmac. Yep, that wasn't very far off the tarmac on unpaved roads, so that was nice to get off those and get back onto the tarmac. Although I am making a turn here, so we could be going back onto a bit of a farm track again, although this junction looks paved, so let's see if we continue on the paving. I'm not adverse to riding off-road, like off paved roads. No, it's still paved. Nice. Okay, looks like we're back on paved roads for a while, which I'm pleased about because it means I have slightly less risk of puncturing a tyre. Yeah, when I'm not fully loaded, I'm quite happy to ride off road sometimes. I've got a hybrid bike, so it's capable enough on gravel trails. I wouldn't, you know, go mountain biking or off jumps on it because it doesn't have any like active suspension or anything. But it handles itself well enough on gravel, and it's got relatively wide tyres, wide enough, so it's, you know, decent enough for on-road and city use, but also decent enough for a bit of gravel trail if one comes my way. One thing I am realising with this route, or at least this part of France on the Eurovelo 4, it's very sparsely populated. You have a few towns, like small villages, like the one I went through. Sorry, this road is a bit bumpy, so the camera is shaking a bit. Like the road I went through with the pizza vending machine, and there was a little church and square there in the centre of town. There are also some other places that I've been through, small villages and things, and a few farms, but I've hardly seen a soul for what feels like a while. It's very sparsely populated area. I've seen a few people on bicycles. Maybe it's just not the day for it, maybe people are setting off later in the day than I am, maybe people are on different routes. So, you know, there's a lot of reasons why you wouldn't see many people, but yeah, lots of it is scenery like this, with, you know, the odd house. But yeah, not a whole lot going on in this area, and the landscape is very different to my previous trip through Belgium and the Netherlands, where it was incredibly flat, quite a lot of canals. This one has got, you know, rolling hills, and a large hill coming out of Cherbourg initially, and country roads. So, you know, quite different, but it's nice. It's nice variety, nice to see some hills, and there's some nice views in places as well. And yeah, it's definitely interesting to have a look around. They probably picked this route quite well, as it's very quiet. If you are looking for a route for a cycle tour. This one is not too bad, a bit hilly, but as long as you can deal with the hills, they're not that challenging, but if you've got no experience riding up hills, you'll struggle with some of them. But yeah, it is a nice route, relatively picturesque and very quiet as well. So I've now entered a town called Saint-Vaast, which seems again to be a relatively small village. There's a nice little river here with a nice stone wall next to it, cute ducks. Probably can't see them on video, they're probably hidden by the bush. But yeah, it just seems like a nice peaceful town, nice picnic spot there. If I was going to stop here for a picnic, there was a nice kind of patisserie, boulangerie type place on the corner there. Cows across the river there. Yeah, nice little village to ride through here. I'm now arriving into Quattro. I'm still not sure how to pronounce it. Seems relatively busy in this town. Oh, they've got a bit of a market going on and a traffic jam. I'm now leaving the town again to go towards the sea, which I still haven't seen enough of, having been there just literally this morning. So I've arrived at the sea at a place called Saint-Vaast-la-Hougue.
Saint-Vaast-la-Hougue.
Again, my pronunciation of French words and place names is not amazing, but I thought it might be nice to come down here to this little, what seems like a fishing village. This is the harbour wall. Camera is tilting because I'm stepping off my bicycle, and I thought it would be nice to come and have a look. There is a bit of drizzle and rain around. It's nothing too heavy, but there is definitely a bit of it in the air. And if I remove the camera from the mount, I can show you around just a bit. There we go, I've wiped the lens. There are some fishing boats kind of being repaired or scrapped. Some of them have some quite large holes in, as you can see. And then over there is a tower of some kind. I think that's the one I saw coming down the hill. And then you can see the land going down there. That is, or some of it is the direction that I will be going in later today and tomorrow. Probably end up going this way today and then along this way tomorrow. I think this is the route across to Pinder and Caen. And yeah, as you can see, very cloudy but not too damp so far, so not too bad. And yeah, just a decent spot in a little French fishing village slash touristy town, I suppose it seems to be. So I've now come and walked my bike to the end of the harbour wall by this lighthouse, which I'm now standing under, which you could see in the distance. Previously I was kind of down, somebody's left some rubbish down that way beyond the van there. Down here are a couple of fishing boats, and there is the town over there in the distance. It's a fairly chill spot on this harbour wall, but it's a nice spot, and the sea seems fairly calm today at the moment. The rain seems to have stopped, or the drizzle more like seems to have stopped for now, which is nice. I'm gonna hopefully head into town now and see if I can find somewhere for a bit of lunch, as it is now noon and I'm getting a bit hungry after my ride here this morning. I've come to Tour de la Hougue, which is this castle and tower. I mean, it seems like a castle. It's got a moat with a drawbridge, and then the tower over there. I believe it is closed today, which is a shame but fine, because I don't think I would have had time to tour it. Plus I have all of the stuff from my bike on my person at the moment, so yeah, not really planning to go inside per se, but just wanted to get a bit of a closer look at this castle, since I saw it coming down the hill and thought, oh wow, that's pretty cool. And it is pretty cool up close. Not the only castle I plan to see on this trip, but that might be giving a bit away. I am going via Caen, so if you know, you know. In a couple of days, but yes, for today this is a pretty cool castle by the sea. and a nice beach as well. There's like a tennis court in front of it as well, which is a strange place for a tennis court, but I guess it was the place they decided to put it. After a quick stop off at the tower, I'm now coming back into the town centre to try and find somewhere for lunch. I'm hoping for basically a baguette or something similar. There's some nice looking restaurants. I don't really want a restaurant for lunch, I'll save that for dinner. But yeah, if I can find a patisserie or boulangerie or something like that, that would be ideal. Unfortunately, you can't see the harbour from this perspective really, because all the car parking is in the way, which is a slight shame for the content, but I can see it and I can assure you that it is quite nice here. Let's go left and see what we can see. That might be what I'm looking for. So I managed to find a place on a corner just here, having a ham and cheese baguette. I have a muffin to eat after this as well, and the best drink, Orangina. Honestly, my favourite fizzy orange drink with the pulp or bits in it, depending whether you are from the UK or not. On orange juice we call it bits for some reason, which I know the rest of the world finds very funny. Yeah, it's I was hoping to get a spot over there to see the dock, but there's only one bench and it's taken, so we will have to settle for this square, which is decently okay, but it is also just a view of a junction, which isn't always the nicest, but it's okay. Got some flower baskets and everything else, so yeah, it's all right. So I'm now leaving Saint-Vaast-la-Hougue, where I have been for a quick lunch stop, and I'm heading back to Quattro and then onwards to my camping stop in Carentan. Again, I'm probably not pronouncing these places at all correctly, but yes, Carentan is where I will be staying, and it will be my first night camping by bicycle. I've got a sleeping bag and tent and all sorts. No cooking equipment. I plan to eat out as it's basically in a town. But yeah, I've got a bunch of camping stuff with me. My first time camping by bike. My last trip was all hostels, and the first night of this trip was also a hostel. So hopefully all goes well. With no stopping, I should be there in about 2.5 hours. But I reckon I probably will stop at some point to have a look around, so probably take a bit longer than that. The GoPro just died, so I am going to change the battery on it quickly here. It's down to 40%, so that's a bit annoying that it's only lasted that long, but we will change it and hopefully it will continue to work with the new battery. So a little bit earlier, leaving the town that I was just in, I had the option of either going on the kind of main road, which wasn't that busy but had fast moving traffic, or following the Eurovelo route. I decided, I'll follow the Eurovelo route, much less traffic. But if you can't tell by my breath, quite a steep hill on this part of the route. So I decided to change my navigation and follow just the Eurovelo, no matter what surface type. This surface type is kind of another gravelly, stony one, but it's not too bad, and it is by the sea. I'm not sure if it's even being shown on camera right now or not, to be honest, as the camera might be mounted too low, but I can see, oh my gosh, I can see somebody in a chariot on the sea. Or not the sea, the beach. Wow, that's wild. Somewhere over there on the horizon, hopefully, is a horse and chariot on the seafront. The unpaved section didn't last very long, in fact even less time than the previous time that we were on an unpaved surface, and now we are back onto tarmac again, and there is a plane to my left just flying over. Hopefully it will fly through the view of the GoPro and you'll be able to see it, although with its distance and size from here, chances are slim on a GoPro angle, to be honest. The GoPro is good at getting a wide view and a shot of everything, but if it's at distance there's like no detail, which is just a quirk of these wide angle lenses. So I was just riding through a couple of villages called Crinville and Le Havre down the east coast of Carentan in Normandy, and as I was riding past I saw this beach over here and this World War II museum which has a tank outside. I don't have much knowledge of tanks, so I don't know what type of tank it is. Perhaps if I went in I would learn, but there aren't really any bike locks around that I can see. So I don't think I'll be going in, plus I've got a lot of stuff with me, but nice looking museum. Seems a bit small, but I don't know, there's some buildings in the back which might be part of it, and thankfully the sun is coming out. Probably blinded you all with that. So yeah, the weather is getting a little bit better, still some grey cloud in the distance, but it's getting nice. And some interesting war artifacts on display outside. This is part of Utah Beach, one of the beaches that were part of the Normandy landings and part of the D-Day liberation of Europe. So I am back on the move again after looking at the memorial for Utah Beach, back on the Eurovelo route. My current ETA at the campsite for tonight is about 5:20, so about an hour away. I'm going to try and get through to the campsite. If I do see something of interest I will probably stop very briefly, but I don't want too much of a long stop to go, because I don't want to get to the campsite super late or after check-in, which I think ends at about 7. So yeah, we've got plenty of time. I just don't want to cut it too fine. So yeah, gonna head on to the campsite in Carentan. It's relatively windy, but if you can hear me, I am roughly 8 kilometers from the campsite. There should be a canal as we approach the town where the campsite is. This not being Belgium and the Netherlands, we've not really had many canals yet on this trip, so it'd be nice to see one. It's quite flat and windy in this area, and quite open, so we'll see what the campsite is like. And it's been a nice journey actually today. The Eurovelo probably isn't the most busy route. Like there's stuff kind of just off the Eurovelo, which is good, you know, it takes you near places like the Normandy D-Day beaches and everything, and to some quite nice villages and towns. But the routes themselves are fairly, you know, quiet country roads and farm roads, which is good for avoiding traffic, and has been mostly quite pleasant so far today, when I've been on the Eurovelo routes. And even when I've been on the roads near them, it's mostly been alright actually. Probably better, or definitely better than it would have been doing a similar trip in the UK. Less traffic, and drivers tend to be a bit more accommodating of people on bicycles around here, which is nice. I've noticed that people aren't going for silly overtakes like they would in England, so that's a pleasant change in the attitudes here. I have now made it to the canal on the approach to Carentan. I am really not far now, about 2 kilometers from the town centre, although my campsite is before we get to the town centre, so really close. It's been a good journey, quite a bit of gravel paths on that last bit since I last updated you, but they weren't too bad so far. Here we go, there's a better look at the canal, and some of the boats, well, some of them don't look in the best condition. So this is my pitch with my tent all set up. Had a bit of help from the people on the pitch next to me who are also cycle touring, which is very kind of them. And there's a look inside. And this is the end of part 1 of this 2-part series documenting my journey from Cherbourg to Caen in Normandy in France. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. There'll be part 2 coming this time next week. And if you're watching this video at a later date, then part 2 is already up. So there'll be a link at the end for you to click on that and give it a watch. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.